Now, exactly what Dane Dobbie did to deserve a 6-game suspension is actually still a mystery here. Now, the Calgary Roughnecks definitely had a strange schedule for December here. Anyway, it's time for another episode to talk some Riggers Lacrosse with Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. So welcome back to another episode of my Calgary Roughnecks this month here. As this is episode 2 of season 2 here. As time to talk a little Riggers Oilman lacrosse here with the Calgary Roughnecks. As I said in the opening there, we're definitely going to have some adversity here as I talk about here how December went. Calgary started off strong and with the defense of their title with a convincing win in Vancouver to start the season last week in November there, if you go back to last episode. However, Calgary was going to be without their captain, Dane Dobbie, who I know he had a second match penalty there in Vancouver. However, did he deserve 6-game suspension? That's 1/3 of the season there. You got to do something major to be out for 1/3 of the season there, and the league doesn't exactly mention why. In the other major leagues, they talk about why someone got suspended there, or if it's action they did on the field or the ice, or took drugs or whatever. But it's still a mystery exactly what Dane Dobbie did to deserve a 6-game suspension there, and Fortunately, we're going to have to live without him for December and January here. And also, we're still without overtime hero Reese Dutch there. So anyway, let's, before I get into recapping how things went in December here, I got a couple of items to show here. The next game we'll talk about is the home opener there, where we raised a much bigger version of this up in the saddle and rafters here. I was able to get my replica championship banner here as at the home opener there. First 3,000 fans were able to get one of these here, and it was actually quite a bit of fans there for trying to get their hands on a replica banner. So I was able to get a replica banner here, and also, since I'm still fairly fresh off of doing my whole video on showing you absolutely everything like jerseys and hats and t-shirts here, I was able to spend most of my money on Fnac store. I actually got myself, I felt like I barely was able to get myself a t-shirt. However, there's one item that I'm still missing here, and apparently getting a hat of this has been tough. So here's the t-shirt that they wore, and I felt like I barely had to pounce and get this, but I still haven't been able to find myself a hat here. It seems like it's been very, very limited quantities, and it was in the dead of summer when they came out. But hopefully I'll be able to get a hat, or maybe I'll throw this out here if by any chance you have an extra hat kicking around and you don't know what to do with it, and it's just collecting dust here. Well, I would like one, and if you happen to have one and I haven't been able to find one to purchase, well, you can reach out on me there. So I'll put that out there, but so yeah, I got some more Champs gear and a few more things to add to my collection there. So just after the holiday season here. So anyway, let's actually get to recapping to the games here, shall we? The Calgary Roughnecks definitely had a very, very strange schedule here. It's sometimes the perils of the NLL here, as it was actually, it was Friday, November 29th, if you go back to episode 1 there, that they played their first game of the regular season here. However, the Calgary Roughnecks did not play again until Saturday, December 21st there. And then they had 3 games in 8 days there, including some travel in there. And because of that, definitely put them right behind the 8 ball in the third game there as I get there shortly here. So I said the Calgary Roughnecks won their first game convincingly on the road in Vancouver there to start the defense of their title on the right foot here. So now they finally had their home opener, game 2. I said on Saturday, December 21st, where I picked up the replica banner here. We were taking on the Colorado Mammoth at Scotiabank Saddledome. It was a 7:30 ball drop here. Just keep a note that games this year start later. And as I said, that was the home opener, raising the championship banner, and I did get capture my video of absolutely everything from the introductions and that, and the banner raising. So that was definitely beautiful moment there, and great to see the defending champions back in action and ready to look at defending the title here. So after the whole ceremony and that, actually the Calgary Roughnecks did actually score the first 2 goals of this game. First, it was Curtis Superman Dickson there, who actually was within reach of getting his 400th goal there, and if he would have had a hat trick in this game, he would have scored it at home here. So first it was Curtis Superman Dickson who scored the first goal at home, and then it was Tyler Pace. So Calgary was up 2-0 4.5 minutes into the first quarter there. So things were looking great here, and keep in mind we were taking on the Colorado Mammoth. This would be the first time regular season play since we beat them in the West Final on the road to the NLL Cup there. And then, they did beat us in preseason, but, it's just preseason there. So 4.5 minutes in, it was 2-0 Calgary here. It was Jacob Roos for Colorado that gives their first goal of the game, and it was 9 minutes in. And that was the only goal that the Colorado Mammoth scored in the first quarter here. And then 9 minutes before, Dan Taylor scores again for Calgary to make it 3-1. So actually, I've got notes here. Jacob Roos scored at the 9-minute mark of the first quarter. And it was Dan Taylor at the 12-minute mark that gives Calgary a 3-1 lead. So Calgary had a 3-1 lead after the first quarter, so things were looking good here so far early. However, a couple things were apparent that it was going to be a tough game, and then every time we've played Colorado here, especially the past couple of years here, it's definitely been a very apparent goaltending duo, as we have Christian Del Bianco and they have Dylan Ward here, and that was definitely apparent here, and there was actually a lot of penalties that were dished out in the scheme here, and I'll mention a few here in my notes. So we were up 3-1 after the first quarter here. However, Colorado actually was able to come back in the second quarter here and won this quarter versus Will Malcolm that scored the next 2 goals for the Colorado Mammoth. So it was 3-3 for game after 5.5 minutes in. And Eli Salama for the Calgary Roughnecks here. It felt a little controversial, and definitely the fans didn't like it, that he took a 5-minute boarding penalty, and then Colorado scored 2 more goals on that power play, the 5-minute major that Calgary took. It was Jacob Roos and Dylan Kinnear that scored. So then next thing you know, it was 5-3 Colorado there. Marshall King, who's actually Jesse King's younger brother here, he actually scored for Calgary late to make it 5-4. So it was 5-4 Colorado at halftime here. Second half, things tightened up even more as Calgary actually scored the only goal in the third quarter, and it was actually Eli Salama that scored for the Calgary Roughnecks. So we had a 5-5 game going into the fourth quarter, so it was definitely a very, very low-scoring game here. Then the fourth quarter was another tight one, intense one here, as the goaltending duo between Del Bianco and Ward here definitely picked up. It was Brett Craig for the Colorado Mammoth who actually scored to give him a 6-5 lead. That was past the 5-minute mark before Marshall King again ties it up for Calgary 3 minutes later. So we had a 6-6 game, but the midway point of the fourth quarter here. And then it was past the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter. It was Kyle Killen for Colorado who scores the go-ahead goal. However, literally 18 seconds later, it was Dan Taylor, the local guy, who's from Calgary, ties the game up at 7-7 here. And then, as I say, both teams had chances for the go-ahead goal, but no one was able to find the back of the net. So actually this game needed overtime. In overtime here, you could say Calgary was given a great opportunity here to score. It's a sudden death overtime. You play a 50-minute quarter here, and with the goaltending duel here, who knows how much time you need here at the time. But Calgary was given a great opportunity to score this one early in overtime. as Colorado was actually down by 2. So Calgary had a 5-on-3 advantage here. And then, however, they weren't able to capitalize as Colorado was able to kill off both those penalties. And, it just felt like, and they also had a 5-minute major in overtime as well there. But Colorado actually killed them off, and it felt like momentum was slowly shifting towards Colorado here after they dodged those bullets here. And eventually, it wasn't until the 7-minute mark of overtime here, that was like the convenience store, it was Jordan Gillies for Colorado that picked up a rebound. Actually, Calgary had a high shot there, and the ball eventually went to Jordan Gillies' stick there, and it was on a breakaway that he beat Christian Del Bianco. So the Colorado Mammoth actually spoiled the home opener by winning this one 8-7 here. And as I recall last year, the Calgary Roughnecks also lost their home opener in overtime as well here under different circumstances. So Colorado took this home opener 8-7 here. Calgary actually did outshoot the Colorado Mammoth 53-48 here. Calgary ultimately was led by local guy Dan Taylor with 2 goals and 2 assists here. Marshall King, he had 2 goals and assists for Calgary. While Jesse King, his older brother, chipped in with 3 assists here. If you look on the Colorado side of the ball here. Well, Malcolm led the way for the Mammoth with 2 goals and assists there. Icarus had 2 goals, and then Ryan Lee, Chris Wardle, each chipped in for 3 assists each for the Colorado Mammoth here. Goaltending side, well, Christian Del Bianco, he made 40 saves for Calgary, while Dylan Ward, he definitely had a strong game himself. He made 46 saves for Colorado there. So Calgary did not win the home opener there. So that was game 2 here. So now game 3 here. This happened on Friday, December the 27th here, so 6 days later, as the Calgary Roughnecks were in Southern California, as they were taking on the San Diego Seals at the Pechanga Arena, 8 p.m. ball drop here. And you could say this was also another team that we beat on the road to the NLL Cup here, as this was the first matchup since the West semifinal, as the Calgary Roughnecks were able to pull out a 1-goal victory there to advance, and they eventually took on Colorado at home for the West Final, and then the Buffalo Bandits on the way to the championship there. So that was the storyline in this one. First quarter definitely started off slow and tentative here for both sides. Actually, Calgary was able to get the first goal by Hayden Dickson. No relation to Curtis Dickson, though. So we got 2 Kings and 2 Dicksons on the team, but the Kings are related, the Dicksons aren't. And actually, Hayden Dickson had a pretty good game, as I'll go through here. And so it was a 4.5-minute mark in, but then it was Johnny Pearson for the Seals that scored to tie things up past the 10-minute mark. And then Jesse King, the older King, who gives Calgary a lead late in the first quarter. So it was 2-1 Calgary after the first quarter here. And then the offense definitely picked up from there, as in the second quarter. First it was San Diego, scored 4 of the next 5 goals here, including former Roughneck Wesley Berg here, as they made a big trade there at the draft there, as Wesley Berg was holding out, but he was sort of coming back to haunt us here in this play. And San Diego actually had a 5-3 lead past the 8.5-minute mark there on their 5-goal rally there. Calgary was able to get 3 late goals themselves in the final 2 minutes first by Curtis Dickson, Eli Salama, and Hayden Dickson. Literally, Hayden Dickson scored with 4 seconds to go in the second quarter here. So at halftime, now Calgary was up 6-5 there. And then Calgary continued their offense in the third quarter with 3 goals in 10 minutes here. 2 goals by Jesse King and Hayden Dickson. So it was 9-5 Calgary at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter there. And then San Diego did score the next 2 goals at 11 and 12-minute mark, so within a minute here. So Zach Greer and Wesley Berg again, the former Roughneck. So it was 9-7 there in the parts of the third quarter here. And then Calgary scored 2 quick goals in the final minute and a half here, as Jesse King and Shane Simpson scored for Calgary here. So Calgary had an 11-7 lead after the third quarter here. So it was 11-7 for Calgary going into the fourth quarter here. In the fourth quarter, Dan Taylor scores, gives Calgary a 12-7 lead just before the 4-minute mark. However, San Diego got within a couple of goals here, as Connor Fields and Zach Greer scored for the Seals there. So it was 12-9 for Calgary at the 10.5-minute mark of the fourth quarter here. So San Diego was looking to rally here. However, Calgary was able to snuff out that rally as they were able to get 3 more quick goals within a minute and a half again. As you had Zach Currier, Jesse King, and Shane Simpson all made it to make it 15-9 Calgary there. San Diego did get 2 more goals while Calgary got 1 more by Hayden Dickson in the final 2.5 minutes here. So eventually, Calgary wins this one 16-11 here. Actually, good thing I caught that there on my notes there, but actually it was 16-11 that the Calgary Roughnecks won here. I just want to make sure I got it up here. Yep. So Calgary won this one convincingly 16-11 here. San Diego outshot the Calgary Roughnecks 56-52 overall here. Calgary had several players that led the way here, especially without Dane Dobbie and Reese Dutch in the lineup here. As Jesse King, you could say, led the way with he had 5 goals and 4 assists in this game. Well, you can say his younger brother Marshall, he chipped in with 5 assists himself here. Hayden Dickson, he also had a big game. He had 4 goals here, and I say no relation to Curtis Dickson, but speaking of Curtis Dickson, he had 2 goals and 4 assists there, including getting his 400th NLL goal, all with the Calgary Roughnecks. So congratulations to him. And Dan Taylor had a goal and 4 assists here. Zach Currier had a goal and 3 assists. And Shane Simpson, the draft pick we had in 2019, or 2018 I should say, he had 2 goals and assists there. So San Diego, on the San Diego side of the ball here, they were led by Zach Currier. He had 4 goals and 3 assists there. Wesley Bird, the former Roughneck, had 2 goals and 2 assists there. Connor Fields had a goal and 3 assists, and Brody Merrill were chipped in with 3 assists here. So when it comes to the goaltending here, well, current Roughneck, Christian Del Bianco made 45 saves for Calgary here, while the former Roughneck, as Frank Sciliano was picked up in the expansion draft, he made 36 saves for the San Diego Seals there. So that was game 3 there. So Calgary is now 2-1 in the season there. They won both games on the road convincingly there, but then lost that tough one at home here. However, game 4, this actually happened the next night on Saturday, December 28th, as the Calgary Roughnecks were going to take on the Philadelphia Wings. That was an 8 p.m. ball drop at the Scotia McSail down there. It was scheduled to start at 8 o'clock, and it was the second game in less than 24 hours here, because I mentioned that was mountain time when the game started at 8 o'clock there, so it was 7 o'clock there, plus travel and lose an hour there. So that's why this game started even later. However, they arrived a little later due to travel, and they actually had to start off shorthanded with a delay of game penalty, and it was Reese Kelly's that served the delay of the game penalty, because the actual game didn't start until I think around 8:25. That's when the game actually started here. And in Philadelphia, it was just their second year back in the NLL, or this version of the Wings here. We beat them convincingly in Philadelphia last year, but Philadelphia looks like a better team this year, as they took advantage of the delay of game penalty here as they opened up the scoring. Actually, it was a minute and a half in. It was Matt Rambo that scored for the Wings. And then it was Brett Hickey for the Wings that made it 2-0 for Philadelphia. 4.5 minutes here, so Calgary was down to start this game here. And it was Tyson Bell that got Calgary on the board past the 6.5 minute mark. So Philadelphia was still up 2-1 at this point here. Then it was Kevin Crowley for Philadelphia that made it 3-1 here at the 8-minute mark before Calgary scored 3 goals in a minute and a half in the first quarter. First it was Dan Taylor, Curtis Superman Dickson, and Mitch Wild who scored all for Calgary from the 11.5 minute mark to the 13-minute mark. So Calgary now was up 4-3 here at this point. However, it was literally 12 seconds later after the Wild goal that it was Trevor Baptiste for the Philadelphia Wings that ties the game up. So we had a 4-4 game, and that's how things ended after the first quarter. It was 4-4 there for both Calgary and Philadelphia there. So it's definitely going to be another interesting game here. However, then things tightened up for the whole game again, as we had another goaltending duel here. However, I can highlight the second quarter here. One unfortunate incident here is that was Seth Charbonneau for the Philadelphia Wings here. He definitely took a boarding major, and you can almost debate if he probably should have been thrown out of the game here, but it was Seth Charbonneau that he got boarded Jesse King on the, right in the corner there. So Philadelphia was assessed a 5-minute major penalty here, and not too sure about Jesse King's health here, as he was down for a while there, and he was grabbing this part when he was coming out the field there. Obviously he didn't play again, and I don't know if it's an elbow or collarbone, but didn't look good there. That we might be without Jesse King now for at least maybe a few weeks or maybe a few months here. Who knows? Guess you'll stay tuned in the next episode here, but I'll definitely be surprised if Jesse King will play in the next game here. But getting back to the game here, best of luck to Jesse King in his recovery. Philadelphia was assessed a 5-minute major on that play there, but then they were actually were able to kill it off here. And so far I can say the Calgary power play hasn't been as strong as it was last year here. Then after that, actually it wasn't until about the 11-minute mark of the second quarter, actually was Curtis Superman Dickson that scored, and that was actually the only goal in the second quarter here. So Calgary had a 5-4 lead at halftime here. Sidebar here is that Philadelphia looked like they actually scored a couple goals in the quarter here. First, it looked like Philadelphia tied the game up at 5-5, but Coach Kirk Malowski actually threw a challenge flag and actually was successful in overturning the goal here, as there was a foot in the crease before the ball crossed the line there. So Calgary was able to wipe off a Philadelphia goal here. And then, just right before halftime, maybe this was karma for Seth Charbonneau here. It looked like he scored a late goal here in the final seconds here. However, Philadelphia was caught with an illegal substitution there, so they took a illegal substitution there just before the halftime there, so it remained 5-4 Calgary at halftime. Third quarter was definitely another stingy defensive, strong goaltending duel here. The first goal of the third quarter did not happen until past the 8-minute mark, as Philadelphia was able to kill off that penalty to start off the third quarter on the illegal substitution here. It was Kevin Crowley again for the Philadelphia Wings that ties it up at 5-5. And then Curtis Superman Dickson, 3 minutes later, scores to make it 6-5 for Calgary, and that's where things stood. After the third quarter, it was 6-5 Calgary there, so it looks like we're definitely going to be in for another low-scoring tight game here. Just as many Saturdays here. Fourth quarter, the Philadelphia Wings did score 2 goals early. First, it was 3.5 minutes from Mick, where Corey Vitarelli scores to tie it up, and then Kevin Crowley scores again 4.5 minutes later. So, or at the 4.5 minute mark, I should say. So it was 7-6 Philadelphia. So relatively early in the fourth quarter here. It was Dan Taylor that ties it up just before the 6.5 minute mark. So we had a 7-7 game here, and this definitely sounded and felt familiar to the home opener there, score-wise too, for the boot here. As Calgary did get a few chances at the midway point of the fourth quarter. However, I felt Philadelphia had stronger chances late in the fourth quarter. Christian Del Bianco definitely, he stood on his head in this one. And actually also dodged some bullets here, as Philadelphia had 2 posts going into the final minutes of the fourth quarter here. Calgary had their first chance, excuse me, first chance for the go-ahead goal with a minute to left, but they couldn't find the back of the net here. I felt like we had a strong chance there, as we had possession going late into the fourth quarter there. However, Philadelphia had possession, and they were able to call timeout there, so basically they had the clock to their advantage the rest of the game, because you have the 30-second shot clock there, so they had their timeout just after the 30-second mark there. So Philadelphia, they definitely took their time and tried to set up for that one shot there, and they made that one shot count with literally 1.6 seconds left, as Matt Rambo, fittingly, he scored the first goal early in the first quarter. So he scored his second goal of the game very late in the game with literally 1.6 seconds left, and Philadelphia gives the 8-7 come from behind win here, as you weren't able to do anything with 1.6 seconds left after the face-off there. So once again, it was the same tough loss in the roughhouse here, except this was almost as, losing in overtime here. So same result, different Saturday here, as both teams, they took 55 shots on net here. Calgary was led by Curtis Superman Dickson. He had 3 goals and an assist here. Dan Taylor had 2 goals and an assist here. And Marshall King chipped in with 3 assists here. And then who led the way for Philadelphia? Well, it's Kevin Crowley who had a big game. He had 3 goals and 4 assists there. And then Matt Rambo, well, he had 2 goals and 1 assist there in the opening and the closing goal. Brett Hickey also chipped in with a goal and 2 assists for Philadelphia. And then Liam Byron's chipped in with 2 assists as well. Now for the goaltending side of the story, well, Christian Del Bianco made 47 saves for Calgary. Zach Higgins made 48 for Philadelphia here. So after December here, Calgary has a 2-2 record here. That puts them 3rd in the West Division here. I mean, still a little early to start judging playoffs yet, especially with the inconsistent schedule. But we have 2 wins on the road, but we lost 2 at the Rough House here. So to look ahead here in January, which will be episode 3 here, actually January is a light month here, as there's actually only 2 games here. As the next game, Game 5, won't be until Saturday, January the 18th. The Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road to take on the Rochester Nighthawks, and this will be the new Rochester Nighthawks, as they were one of the expansion teams here. This will be at the Blue Cross Arena. That'll be a 5 p.m. ball drop there. And then Game 6 will be the following Saturday, on Saturday, January the 25th here, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be home. They'll be hosting the Halifax Thunderbirds. That was the team. Last year's Rochester Nighthawks actually relocated to Halifax. And actually, I think they're calling it the East Coast Kitchen Party here. So we'll celebrate our maritime heritage here. And that'll be a 7:30 ball drop at the Scotiabank Saildome here. I also figured out the more information on they actually made this cup. It's called the Alternative Bank Cup here. And actually that game will count towards the Alternative Bank Cup here. So what they do is that they got the 5 Canadian teams, and whoever has the best record of the 5 Canadian teams, since that's when they play each other. So the first game of the Alternative Bank Cup actually happened between Calgary and Vancouver there. And then the next game, which will be part of it, is when Canadian teams play each other. So that'll be the second game in January there. So there's only 2 games for the Calgary Roughnecks in January here, and we'll see what happens with the health of Jesse King there after the bad boarding penalty, and when is Reese Dutch going to be back, because he's put on the long-term injury reserve. But we definitely miss those guys, especially on the defense and offense here, and we seem to have lacked that in the at the home games at least. But right now we're still looking like a different team here, but we still seem to be dealing with kind of the same adversity that we did last year. But as you can tell at the start of the video there with the mini banner and the t-shirt there, and I'm still looking for a hat, by the way, that we eventually won the championship there. So yeah, that's season 2 and episode 2 of my Calgary Roughnecks this month. So of course, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe here, and hit that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload anything. I'm going to do these Calgary sports game recaps and cover Calgary sports stories that I feel is big enough that warrants a video here. And I also do personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and also, for example, share moments at sporting events like the banner raising for the Calgary Roughnecks, where they won their 3rd championship banner in franchise history there. So if that sounds like everything you like to do, just make sure you like, subscribe. And as I said, I posted a lot more content the past week here just because I've been on winter break here. Just wanted to make out a bunch of videos here, but as my winter break is winding down here, so on my uploading I'll get closer back to my regular uploading. So I'm not going to be making as many videos as I have in the past week here, but there'll be an update video when I say the winter break's officially over there, and give him maybe any updates. But so yeah, as I say, go Next go, and hopefully we can at least clean up and find a way to be on the right end of these games at home here, because as you mentioned there, both of those games could have went either way here, as we won convincingly on the road here. But it's still a little early here, and I mean the schedule gets heavier as we get closer to the end of the schedule here. I guess there's unbalanced with 13 teams in the league and building availability here, but it always seems like that every year there's more Roughneck games in March and April than right now, and the first half of winter there. So as I say, I'll see you in the next video here, and hopefully Also better news to give in January here.